shall not pass. Guess what that's from?
Guess. You shall not pass. What is it from?
What is it from? Where did we get that from? It's from a great franchise.
And those fellow nerds of ours that listen regularly will know exactly what it's from. So before we get into what it's from, welcome to the Tammy and Wanda Show. Week 22.
I know, week 22. How insane is that? And I got my handy dandy Dunkin' Donuts.
Ooh.
That's right. That's right. All of you listeners out there who are subscribed to our podcast visually on YouTube, you will see that Dunkin' Donuts is our regular here. So hopefully, with all of your help out there, we will get...
Dunkin' will notice us as much as we notice and love them.
We notice and love them. Hey, maybe if they send us some gift cards.
You're not the only one drinking a sponsored drink today, and mine was by accident.
That was by accident, actually, guys. Mine was planned.
Yes. I got hit with the TikTok buy, and those of you that are on TikTok understand that when you are on TikTok, you see these ads for things that look really convincing, and this is the third time I've tried something from a TikTok ad, and the first time it's actually panned out to be decent.
That's insane.
Yeah. So it's a circle bottle.
Ooh.
And they have different flavor packets that you can buy that's just like this little tube in the bottle, and it's tap water that tastes like kiwi strawberries. So
that's kind of nice. I have a hard time drinking tap water. If it doesn't taste right. See, back in the day, I love going with back in the day.
Back in the day,
when I lived in my Hobbit hole, hint hint. I had a well that I...
Ew, well water's not good.
See, well water tasted so good to me because we actually tapped into an artesian well.
Oh, see, that's different.
So we had, there was ground, then there was, this giant slate, and then they tapped into some gold right there.
Artesian water and actual real-life well water are two different things.
I know, it's completely two different things. It's like you could tap into some wicked, horrible things. You know, sludge water.
Where it tastes like garbage.
Or you can tap into this untapped resource. And have the most amazing mineralized water that you've ever tasted in your entire life.
Well, have you ever... Dun, 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 dun... realize that in the franchise we're about to speak about, the untapped resource, whether it's the prequel, if you'll call it that, which isn't really a prequel, but we'll get back to that in a second, the actual core series itself, the untapped resource, Hobbits.
And there are two Hobbits that actually share the same birthday on September 22nd. Correct?
I believe so.
That is Bilbo Baggins,
the original Hobbit explorer.
Ah, yes, that man who was absolutely sheltered and was pushed out of his house to go on an adventure with dwarves. And Frodo Baggins.
The uncle and nephew duo have the same birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, and also, I think I prefer Frodo because I think he's a little more adventurous than Bilbo ever was.
I think so, braver. But I also think it helped that Bilbo went on his adventure, and of course, we all know Bilbo loves to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
So, him going on his first epic quest, which is kind of a shocker right there. I mean, Bilbo, who is this freaking, just hermit.
Yeah, an epic, please don't make me leave my home. And then you have that whole epic scene where Gandalf basically grabs him by the nape of his neck and throws him out the door and is like, "You're going."
Yeah. Oh, man. I do have to say, I enjoy this franchise. I love this franchise. I had a hard time reading the book because my problem is that I tend to watch it, and then I'm like, yeah, I want to read the book, and then I can't get into the book.
Well, I I did not do that with Game of Thrones, but I did do it the wrong way, kind of like you did with Lord of the Rings, and that is my dad's favorite book series, and he was like, you need to read these now that, the first movie's out. And I remember my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law and I would all go and see the movies at like midnight releases because it was like the big hot franchise at the time.
Oh yeah.
And I really got into both, but Tolkien, who's the author of Lord of the Rings, and Martin, who's the author of Game of Thrones, they have a few things in common. First of which, they both came up with languages that are completely different from English in order to make certain things make sense in their book series. Being linguistic people, it's kind of interesting to see what they came up with to develop like the Elven language, for example. Or the language that they use in Mordor, which is on the One Ring to rule them all. But what I find about both of those authors is it's hard for a lot of people to get into both of them because they're so detailed. And you go...
And what is actually insane is that Tolkien actually wrote these books to kind of mirror his time in the war.
Mm-hmm.
Which
makes
I
sense
found
when you read it.
Mind-blowing. And of course, me and my best friend, we were actually binge-watching prequel into Lord of the Rings, kind of see how they melded together. I actually had a dream about the war, and I was with Gandalf and Aragorn and Legolas. And Gandalf comes back from his epic journeys, because we all know that Gandalf is this crazy old man who just goes away during every type of epic scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anytime that he's like, don't worry, I'll be back. And then he never comes back. And they're like, where the fuck is he?
Meet me at the Four Horses. I'll be there. Where's Gandalf?
He's not there.
I don't know. I haven't seen Gandalf in 6 months. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because he's on his own epic journey and accidentally gets, caught up in some shit.
Almost murdered by a newly evil white wizard on the roof of a tower. Whatever.
So how Aragorn goes, let's kill some orcs. Yeah, in my dream.
Oh no.
This is how memorable this dream was. Because we're all hunkered down. I'm just like, oh my god, where is Gandalf? He needs to give us the signal so that we can get these Nazis, because we were fighting against Nazis.
Of course.
So then Aragorn, he's like, no, we can't wait for him anymore. Legolas, comes back from, doing his own, little detailing. He's just like, okay, they're going to be bringing in some of this artillery, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, but we still need to wait for Gandalf. He is the one who is supposed to tell us what to do. And then, Aragorn just, sees his moment, and he just turns around to me, and he goes, let's kill some Nazis. I'm like, oh my god!
Nazis are orcs in my dreams! I kind of like that, though. That's pretty cool.
I can't write that, guys. I can't, I can improv my ass off. I can't do that on the fly. That took some subconscious detailing right there.
And also, how did you wake up? Did you feel inspired to go about your day and murder some,
Actually, I
bad
woke up very confused, going, what the fuck did I just dream about?
What happened?
That I walked out of my bedroom, started making coffee. I had a very confused look on my face. My best friend goes, weird dream? I'm like, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Weird dreams, I think, are a good fodder for, if you are a writer, stories. Because sometimes your brain comes up with stuff in your subconscious when you're asleep that you would never think of when you were awake. Which, do you ever wonder if maybe some of Lord of the Rings was an epic fever dream?
I bet it was.
Did he just wake up one day and go, Frodo Baggins? That's a great name for a hobbit. Hobbit's basically a child, but a person, but has big feet, but they're hairy. How does that even happen?
I don't know, but I feel like I do have hobbit feet.
I don't know. I've seen your feet. I wouldn't think they were that hairy. They're not that hairy.
See, I hate feet. So there you go. There's one of my little quirks that you guys are going to learn.
I also hate feet.
I hate feet. I hate my own feet.
I hate mine. Everybody else's being touched by them.
But here's the rub. I really love shoes.
Me too.
I hate feet, but I love shoes.
Well, shoes make them pretty and less threatening.
They do. And now we're going to come around circle.
Do you know who has the best shoes in Lord of the Rings? I would say Éowyn because she's an elf.
Éowyn, yeah. I was going to say
that's not what I was
Galadriel, but she barely wears shoes. She's
Éowyn's the horse princess. I messed that up. I meant Arwen, who is the daughter of Elrond.
Arwen, yeah.
Well, because she basically brings like thunderous water horses to defeat the ring race at one point, so she's got to have killer shoes.
I mean, she does, and Liv Tyler did a very good job.
And that was one of her like. No one thought she was going to do a great job at that. That was like such a controversial casting moment. But
that is a high expected, franchise.
Right. There are a lot of nerds that needed a lot of things to happen in those movies, and Peter Jackson delivered 100%.
Delivered.
100%. And
I honestly think in both of them, in both series, like the prequel and in Lord of the Rings, I really think he delivered very nicely.
He must have been a fanboy as a kid.
He had to have been. And I mean, and believe me, I have watched the extended versions on both. That is how dedicated I am to this franchise.
Mm-hmm. The extended ones are the best ones.
Yes. They have all of those scenes that kind of like tie it all together. But I know that they didn't have enough time to really keep the entertainment level for the audience. Because, I mean, you do have a lot of people who are, like, diehard fans who have, like, read the books and have had, mystical conversations in their basements.
And Galadriel has to look a certain way in order for it to make sense. She's got to be hot, but scary.
But then you also got those people who are just like, oh, this is kind of a cool movie to see. But then they're just like, man, it was so boring because there was just so much content to push in.
Yeah. That's the big problem with movies. Movies like that, TV shows like Game of Thrones, anything really in the fantasy realm itself.
Oh, yeah.
Is most of the time those books are so detailed and
500 pages later, how are you supposed to put that in a damn movie?
How do you relay the juice ran delightfully down her lip as she bit into the chicken bone and blah 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 blah, and her teeth gnashed against, and that's what it's like, which is really interesting as a reader. But how do you get that kind of detail translated to the silver screen in a way that nerds aren't like picketing your house and throwing things at you because you missed a certain integral thing, which...
Grab your torch and pitchforks, guys.
I'm going to tell you, I'm a big dork with lots of stuff. You guys know. You've been listening to us long enough.
Yeah, you guys have been listening long enough.
So, Lord of the Rings did a great job. I think even though season 8's kind of a heckled moment, which we won't talk about today with Game of Thrones, but... Yeah, most of that was pretty true to...
Another conversation for another day.
Right, and most of that was pretty true to the original content. Then you get to Harry Potter, which there were 7 books, 8 movies.
Yep.
And I thought that those directors should have talked to Peter Jackson from the Lord of the Rings franchise, because my favorite character in Harry Potter is Nymphadora Tonks. Because she can change her hair, her face, everything.
Oh, yeah.
And Animagus.
She did not get a lot of, like...
We don't find out that her and Remus are even married, other than it's just, like, a random comment made by some other character.
Towards the end of the series.
Yeah, and they basically don't even address their love story, which was epic and amazing in its own right. They don't even mention... It's, like, an afterthought, and I think one of the, like, scenes where the other kids are going to... Hogwarts, like the kids of Harry and Hermione and Ron and all that. Do they even mention that Remus and Nymphadora, or Dora, had Teddy, their son, a few months before the battle at Hogwarts where they both died?
Yeah.
Or that he was raised by Nymphadora's mother, Andromeda Black. Yes, I am a dork. I do know that off the top of my head. Who was excommunicated for falling in love with a mudblood Hufflepuff named Ted. And she was famously the older sister of Bellatrix Lestrange and I'm gonna mess this up. I could tell.
I know. I see
Narcissa Malfoy. I wanted to make sure I pronounced it properly, but
that's right.
She's their big sister, and so she's got this like heavy-weighted, excommunicated daughter of the House of Black thing going on, and she raises this little boy who's her grandson, and they completely ignore all of that depth.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh well, they also had a kid that's also with Harry's kids.
what I'm seeing like here, like it's very complicated for franchise. Because mostly when you talk to actors, when they are given the opportunity to audition for a role in a franchise, they kind of step back from it because they don't want to just be considered Frodo Baggins or Legolas, which of course Orlando Bloom and Elijah Wood did get, kind of put in that persona. And then, of course, after being Legolas in this franchise, in turn becomes part of another franchise.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes,
another great one.
And, of course, with the Marvel movies, Chris Evans continued to turn it down to be Captain America. He did not want to be considered Captain America for every role that he would want to do after the franchise was over.
I think he was lucky, though, and I know that he didn't want to be typecast, but if you think Chris Evans, I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, he's Captain America. But for those of us that are elder millennials or Gen Xers, remember, not another teen movie. Where he started in comedy, guys. Like, he made comedies and then rom-coms, and so he's done enough, I think, other stuff.
Which is good.
It helps balance out the Captain America role.
I mean, and of course, in his mind, like, he knows that he has built up his career in a good way.
Right.
But also, he was afraid that is all that he's going to be known as.
And I gotta tell you, I saw him in something recently. It's called Knives Out on Netflix, where he's actually, like, a badass bad guy. And I forget who the actual, like, villain is in that movie, but he is this snarky, sarcastic dickhead in that whole movie. And you're like, who in the hell am I watching? But he's so good.
I mean, he was a snarky, sarcastic
good. But
ass.
you forget he's Captain America. And
not another teen movie.
Oh, God. Where he's Freddie Prinze Jr. with black hair. It's so weird.
Would you like a sundae?
He's wearing a bikini.
No, I'm not into sundaes. Oh, well, maybe you'd like a banana split. I'm not into those either. Anyways, that is one of my all-time favorite movies with Chris Evans in it.
Oh, so good.
Just because he was so funny. But I've always been a Chris Evans, like, lover, even before he became,
Captain America was just the cherry on the top of the sundae.
That is America's ass, and it was America's ass way before.
When he was wearing
the torch.
Whipped cream bikini. Oh my god,
When he was the torch. I mean,
Johnny Blaze,
okay,
baby.
Listen. I loved him as Johnny Blaze, but of course he was... Fantastic Four was a little before its time.
Well, and also...
It came out... They tested the waters.
The casting was great on that film, though.
They tested the waters. They let it fly in the air, and it just went splat.
Which is so sad, because I love Michael Chiklis as the thing. And Kerry Washington as the blind girlfriend. Oh my god.
Yes.
There's so much potential there, and it just, never went anywhere, but it was good.
I said, it was before its time. Ugh. If it would have came out around the time that they decided to do...
all the MCU movies and have it...
And not do the reboot. I didn't see the reboot. I didn't want to see the reboot.
I had no interest.
Fight me.
No interest. Because I loved the original ones. So.
I loved the OG one. I mean, that's... there's a time and place when you make a franchise and you just beat it till it's dead and continues to die. Mm-hmm. Like the Hulk movies.
I was going to say that one, or do you know that they're rebooting Blade without Wesley Snipes?
Nope. Nope.
Can't do it. I don't care how good the new guy is.
I'm sorry, but I am an OG person. I can't. I tried.
You can reboot Spider-Man as many times as you want, although I really love Tom Holland. I've loved them all, but this kid, the newest kid, has my heart.
I mean, Tobey Maguire, you always look like you had the poops all the time. Like, you had the poops. Like, you have an ugly cry face, Tobey Maguire.
It looked like this. And for those of you that are listening, it looks like we're both constipated right now.
Like,
so
we're trying to take a shit, and with that being said, the shitter is full, Tobey Maguire.
And you know who also had a shitter face, bringing it full circle back to Lord of the Rings, is Gimli. Tell me he does not have that face. That whole movie is like, don't tell the elf! And it looks like he's pooping out a large turd.
Gimli is one of my favorite dwarves. I mean,
by far, he's the best.
He is the son of one of the dwarves in The Hobbit
that we meet.
And of course, I loved all of those dwarves. I loved them all in The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, how do you not though?
I know.
And then they find like in the Lord of the Ring films, they find the
Killian Gilly. I love them. R.I.P. Killian Gilly. Why does it hurt so bad?
I'll tell you, I asked my dad recently, who's the biggest Lord of the Rings dork I know, what his favorite scene was in preparation for this. And his favorite scene is where they're in the crypt and they're trying to figure out a way to get past those goblins to get out. And it's right before the whole Balrog, you shall not pass part. When, I don't remember if it was Merry or Pippin now, but I think Pippin, because I think, wasn't he the dumb one?
No, I want to say it was Merry.
It might have been Merry. Full of a toque! Yes, where he accidentally, like, knocks the thing down and lets the goblins
where he's like, I wonder what this is. I'm going to turn it. I'm like, when I watched him, I was like, that whole thing.
Don't touch it.
I'm like, the first time that I saw that, the first time I actually was experiencing this movie, I mean, I've seen it a million times already, but the first time I looked at it and I was like, don't do it. Don't touch it. It's gonna fall. It's gonna fall.
And then Gandalf is just like, you'd be better off dead. And you're like, oh, that was kind of extreme. Once you have kids, you're like, I understand Gandalf, but also like that might have been a bit too over the top of a comment for them. But
I mean, and then they end up helping the Ents. The Ents.
Oh, the Ents are the best.
Then they're just sitting there and they're just like, oh, I'm enjoying the salted pork and I'm enjoying some weed. You want to go join us?
We're just sitting here eating and smoking. How are you guys doing?
So, I mean, Merry and Pippin, they're the best.
They're the comedic relief, I think, of the last three films.
They are.
Where you go...
But you also see that buildup of them realizing that they are no longer in the Shire. Like
nothing is safe.
Nothing is safe. You can't trust as well as you did when you were in the Shire. Mm-hmm. So it's like you just see that buildup that with that third movie, like Mary's just like, he's not dead! He's not dead! And, like, Pippin is, like, with Arwen.
Yeah.
Or
Which one?
Which one?
Well, Éowyn is the horse princess because...
The horse princess,
I can never forget that one because my dad, if he would have had his way, that would have been my name in the delivery room.
That's
and my
true.
mother was like,
that's true.
My daughter's not going to be named that and have to explain how to spell that every single day of her life. No. So, thanks, Mom.
It's
Love
like,
you.
and he built that relationship with the human world... And he wanted to become a warrior. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, here's this one who's dedicating his life to a mad king who is absolutely out of his fucking gourd.
Just watch him eat in that scene where he accepts the night
even before his favorite son died. I mean, he was already half-assed.
Couple of crayons short of a full box.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
And then also, my best friend Katie and I have had an inside joke for a long time, which is kind of a lot of people's inside joke, but every time we see that they've cast Sean Bean in a movie, he always dies.
You know, and I think I do blame his manager for that. His agent.
Yes. That's his, like, everlasting legacy.
Could you just see, like, imagine, like, the piles of, you know, scripts that they have, and they're just like,
dead.
Okay, this one doesn't die, that one's thrown out. I mean, Sean is a good man, a short talk man.
He's so good, and it's so depressing because he is so good that
he is.
He always died. Like, Ned Stark died in the first season. Played, Boromir in Lord of the Rings, dies in the first movie, and you go, well, and don't come at me for spoilers either. Those movies have been out for a long time, and if you don't know Boromir dies.
If you don't know it, then get out of here.
You never liked them anyways.
You shall not pass.
You shall not. So she'll go, hey, miss, so Sean Bean was in another movie. And I was like, how soon into the movie does he die? And then we both laugh, and that's about how that goes.
I know. Because, I mean, every movie or show that Sean Bean has been in, that it has been a long, extending one, has actually flopped.
Mm-hmm.
So...
he's got to die for it to make money. That's the recipe.
He's good at dying.
It's the recipe for greatness.
So I actually did have somebody...
one of our listeners?
One of our listeners. Her name, she is a good friend of mine. Kate Boston. Shout out. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Kate.
So the one scene, the third eagle, that came to Mordor in the movies was probably sent to rescue Gollum, but they didn't know he died with the ring. So if you can rewind back in time, to the last movie when it's Frodo and Sam they've just thrown the ring into Mordor, into, what was the mountain called?
The Pits of Mount Doom.
Ah, yes, the Pits of Mount Doom.
I always have to say the whole line or else I never remember.
I mean, you have to. But there were 3 eagles that came swooping in.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw 2 of them carrying Frodo and Sam,
mm-hmm.
but the third one left with nobody.
Oh, because they were going to save Gollum, who decided he wanted to die with the ring in the lava pit of Mount Doom.
Yep.
He ran after it after he bit off Frodo's finger, if memory serves.
Could you imagine Smeagol? I will use that name because I mean Gollum is his alter ego.
Gollum's honestly the bad, scary, evil one he argues with, and Smeagol's the sweet one. That's one of my favorite scenes where he's arguing with himself, and he's like, nobody likes you. Oh, but Master loves me.
Yep.
And you go, it's kind of heartbreaking, even though it's kind of amusing, because he's fighting with his own...
What's this potatoes?
Oh, and everybody needs to find a Sam. Have you realized that almost in every single franchise that's fantasy, there's a Sam that's the best friend?
I honestly feel like I am Sam.
You're the Sam.
I'm the Sam. I feel like the Sam some days. I'm the one that's just like, no, you can't quit and you can't leave on Samwise Gamgee.
I can't carry it for you, but I can
carry you.
Oh my god, that's like the most emotional scene too.
That scene talked to me.
And then Sam gets to marry little Rosie, whatever her last name is, at the end with the
all
curls.
Right, and also Kate Boston did chime in again. Her boyfriend Nick said he loves that Merry and Pippin take down Isengard.
Mm-hmm.
Truth.
Yes, I was crying and cheering when I first saw that movie in the theaters because the Ents take so long to speak or make any decisions, little orcs.
We have come to the conclusion that you are not orcs.
And that takes, 35 minutes of the movie. Later, they're like, well, you're not a horse. So we can believe you now.
Okay, seeing that in theaters drove me insane because I was like, no, really?
Were you Chandler banging in your head? Get there faster!
Yes. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up!
Just make the decision!
They were like Ross saying pivot the whole time.
Oh my gosh. But they finally get their power because the white Saruman decides that he's going to go evil. The white
and I know that we are totally going over time, but this is a great franchise.
We love it. We are big Lord of the Rings people, and for those of you that don't know, that Frodo and Bilbo's birthday is also now internationally known as Hobbit Day. So happy Hobbit Day, a few days late. But September 22nd, put it on your calendar and celebrate with the
Lord
of the Rings marathon.
Get out those Hobbit slippers, because I know they make them.
Oh my God, they do. Or you could have Hobbit feet, wear them for the day.
Absolutely.
So
remember, Tammy, Wanda, the Tammy and Wanda Show. We're on every social platform: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Tickety Talk.
The Tickety Talk. You can find us anywhere. Subscribe. And we will see you next week.
Actually, I do have an announcement last minute before the end of the episode. Amazon Music. Hopefully before our next episode, I'll be able to announce that we will be having a skill so that you can hear us on smart speaker devices going forward. So
that
you can hear us in your house.
Oh, yeah. Where's that Alexa when you need her?
Well, we will hopefully have that announcement for you next week, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, guys.